My name's Greg, and in this video I'm going to teach you how you can evaluate your own level of English according to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. So let's go. Basically, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages is divided into 6 different levels. They are A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2. Now we can think of the A levels to be beginner levels, the B levels to be intermediate levels, and the C levels to be advanced levels. We're going to look at each of these levels so that you can evaluate your own level of English. This will enable you to know which exam you should be preparing, and it will also enable you to give your future employers an idea of what English level you currently have. And after watching this video, I want you to write a comment telling me what level you have and what level of English you want. A1 is the beginner level of English, and this is the equivalent to the Cambridge Young Learners exam called Movers. You have an A1 level of English if you can understand and use very basic expressions in English. You can introduce yourself and ask questions about personal details of other people, and you can interact with other people if they speak slowly and if they are prepared to really modify their language and make an effort to be understood by you. The A2 level can be described as elementary, and this is the equivalent to the Cambridge Young Learners exam called Flyers. Now, if you have an A2 level of English, you can understand frequently used expressions about common topics such as shopping, travel, work, and local geography like your town or where you live. You can describe in simple terms about your background, about your life, and about your environment, about where you live. But again, in simple terms. Now, most people I deal with have an intermediate level of English, and in my business I help take them to an advanced level of English. Intermediate is divided into 2 parts, B1 and B2. B1 is the equivalent to the Cambridge Preliminary Exam, PET, IELTS level 4, and the TOEFL score between 57 and 86. You have a B1 level if you can understand points related to family, work, leisure, and school, and if you can deal with most travel situations, like going to the airport, going to restaurants, checking in at a hotel, typical travel situations. You can write texts about topics of personal interest, and you can describe, both in spoken English and written English, experiences, events, dreams, ambitions, and also give brief opinions on things and talk about your plans. If you can do all that in English, you have a B1 level. B2 is considered to be upper intermediate, and this is the equivalent of the Cambridge First Certificate of English, IELTS level 5 to 6, and a TOEFL score of between 87 and 109. B2 is usually the minimum requirement that companies ask for if English isn't an extremely important part of their job. You have a B2 level of English if you can understand the main ideas of a more technical text. You will also be able to communicate spontaneously with a native speaker without too much effort for you or without too much effort for the native speaker to understand you. And spontaneously means just reacting naturally to the questions they ask you without having to stop and really think about how to construct the sentence or how to find the correct piece of vocabulary. You will also be able to write a text on a wide variety of subjects in a wide variety of styles, giving your opinions and pointing out the advantages and disadvantages of common topics. We then move on to the advanced levels of English, C1 and C2. Now, in my experience, C1 is a level of English that most students want to reach. And normally, when companies ask for a high level of English, they're asking for a C1 level. This is the equivalent of the Cambridge Advanced Exam, IELTS Level 7, a TOEFL score of between 110 and 120, and a TOEIC score of 880. If you have a C1 level of English, you will be able to understand a wide range of long texts, long articles about complicated subjects in English, and also conversations about more complex subjects. You will be able to express your ideas about various complex subjects without too much thinking about vocabulary or grammar, and you'll be able to use the language effectively for academic purposes, professional purposes, and personal purposes in a flexible manner. And by this, I mean that you will be able to speak informally in a personal situation and then modify your language to speak in a more professional situation. Finally, you will be able to write detailed texts on complex subjects in a well-structured manner. C1 is a great level of English to have, and this is the level that I help most of my students reach. The highest level of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages is C2, and C2 is proficient. It's a near native level of English, and it's equivalent to the Cambridge English Proficiency Exam and the IELTS level 8 to 9. Not too many people prepare these exams because it really is an exceptionally high level. If you have a C2 level of English, you can understand and read almost anything easily. You can read or hear English from a variety of sources, TV, radio, movies, and summarize it into a very coherent presentation. You can express yourself spontaneously, very fluently, and not making almost any mistakes. And even when you're talking about complex things, you can really make small differences to what you say just to put emphasis on slightly different parts of the sentence. This is defined as differentiating finer shades of meaning. So making small changes to the words you use or the grammar you use to give a slightly different meaning. So I hope this helps you evaluate your own level of English. Tell me in the comments what level you have and also what level you are working towards, what level of English you would really like to have. As I said before, on this YouTube channel and in my business, I help students take their English from an intermediate level to a C1 level of English. If that's what you want, then subscribe to my channel for free weekly lessons on English pronunciation and grammar, and check out the description for other ways that you can advance your English with me. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.